Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who had joined us from around the world. Hope you guys are having a great time at Data Platform Summit so far. This session is about modernizing obsolete semantic models in Power BI. I'm assuming that you guys have a good understanding about Power BI, data modeling, and data warehousing when I'm presenting this session. If not, that's completely fine. You guys can uh, if you guys find something confusing, you guys can always reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help you guys out. Um, Either ways, I'll be covering some basics in this session as well, so you guys should be fine off. For those who don't know me, I'm Thimantha Vidanagamage. I love working with Microsoft Data Platform technologies such as Microsoft Power BI, Azure Analytics Services, and Azure Data Factory. The most important thing out of all the details that you see in the screen right now is my Twitter handle at Thimantha. So please follow me on Twitter at Thimantha. Moving into the agenda for today, firstly, I will take you through some basics of semantic models. Later on, we'll look at the obsolete semantic models in Power BI. And finally, I'll be wrapping up this session by showing you how to modernize your obsolete semantic models in Power BI. Moving into semantic model basics. A semantic model is a data model that is used for analytical purposes, specifically catering the end users. There are two types of semantic models. These are tabular semantic models and multidimensional semantic models. Previously, it was just multidimensional semantic models, and later on, tabular semantic models came up. So tabular semantic models are a lot more simpler and compressed compared to multidimensional semantic models. A model follows a basic concept between a fact and a dimension. A fact is a table with numerical figures, while a dimension is an aspect of looking at a fact. For example, if you take fact as sales as a fact and region as a dimension, regional sales can be analyzed with the combination of facts and dimensions. Moving into obsolete semantic models in Power BI. Previously, in the early years of Power BI, Power BI only had the key components, Power BI datasets, Power BI reports, and Power BI dashboards. So the entire semantic model was based on the Power BI dataset, since there was no Power BI data flows back in time. To explain this much more clearly, I had set up two examples for you guys. Both these examples will be demonstrated as user stories. So for those folks who don't know what user stories are, just keep in mind that user stories are simple descriptions to define business requirements from the end user point of view. So I have two user stories from two different end users as examples for you guys to understand these obsolete semantic models. So let's have a look what these are. The first one user story is from the internet sales team, and the second user story is from the reseller sales team. So let's read each user story and understand their requirements. So if you look at the internet sales team's requirement, as the internet sales team, I want to analyze internet sales by calendar, product, and customer so that I can take data-driven business decisions in terms of internet sales. If you look at the reseller sales team, as the reseller sales team, I want to analyze reseller sales by calendar, product, and reseller so that I can take data-driven business decisions in terms of reseller sales. So those are the two requirements between internet sales and the reseller sales. If this requirement came up in the early years of Power BI, which is around 2015, 16, and 17, the requirement can be fulfilled and delivered in two different ways. So one possible solution to fulfill this requirement is what you see in the screen right now, which is you have two different semantic models, each semantic model catering for a specific end user. So as you can see, there is an internet sales data model or semantic model uh, for the internet sales team, and for the reseller sales guys, for the reseller sales team, you have a reseller sales semantic model. So you can, so this is one way of fulfilling this requirement, but you can see in the screen right now that there are duplicating dimensions in these two data models. You can see that calendar and product are duplicating in each and every data model. So what does this mean? This means that calendar and product, the Power Query or the business logic for calendar and product each will be executed multiple times, will be replicated multiple times for each data model, uh, for each data model. So that is not a really good design or a really good solution to come up with. It's not effective or it's not productive either. The second solution that you can fulfill such a requirement is by providing one single data model to fulfill both these requirements. So, as you can see in the screen right now, you can see one single sales data model fulfilling the requirements of the internet sales team and the reseller sales team. So there are two requirements that are covered up here. But as with the previous solution, there are no replications here. There are no replications of dimensions here. But there are other downsides of this kind of a design or this kind of a solution. That is, uh, as the model gets complicated and with time as the model grows, there can be issues in terms of Power BI dataset refresh times. And there can be issues in terms of Power BI uh, 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 data storage for the dataset. So there can be issues that are uh, coming back at you from the other end. So both these solutions have their both downsides each. So which means the downsides each. This leads to Power BI data flows, which came up a few years back. So Power BI data flows are ideally used for service data preparation with Power Query. So in this, with Power BI data flows, what we'll be focusing on in this session is the consolidation of entities use case. So which means that each and every dimension that is used in obsolete semantic models are being moved into a centralized location to be referred by multiple semantic models without re-executing the Power Query logic. So if you don't get what that means, that's completely fine, because in the demo you will get you will be able to understand what this is all about. Keeping your attention on that consolidation of entities, let's move right into the demo. Moving into the demo, so as I told you previously, it will be about consolidation of the entities. So in this case, I had chosen just one entity, which is the customer entity, for you guys to demonstrate how this should be done. So the same thing should be replicated for the rest of the dimensions as well. So for this example, I will just take the customer entity and I would show you how this should be done. So the customer entity, as you can see, it resides in the internet sales data model. So I would quickly get back to you on that. So you can see, so this will be the solution that we'll be considering to be now considered to modernize. This will be the obsolete semantic model design. These will be the obsolete semantic models that we considered for modernization in this solution, in this demo. So firstly, we'll be looking at the internet sales data model at this stage, and you can see the customer entity resides in the internet sales data model. What I'll be doing is I'll be taking the internet sales data model and I will be showing you how to consolidate the customer entity or the customer dimension in the internet sales data model with the use of Power BI data flows. So if I just show you around, I have the internet sales data model in my Power BI desktop right here. You can see the entire data model as per the diagram I just showed you. And also I have the same data model that's that's published into the Power BI workspace I'm working on right now. What I'll be doing is I'll be looking at the customer entity. First thing what you want to do before you do anything else is create the data flow, which is what this session is all about. So let's create a data flow to get started with. How you create a data flow is you head down to the workspace, and right under the workspace name, you should be able to see an option called new. So just click on that and a drop down should pop up and you should see an option called data flow. So click on the option data flow. After you click on the option data flow, you should be able to see a window like you see in the screen right now. So right in here, head down to add new tables because we'll be adding new tables into a new data flow. So I clicked on that option. Next, you will be headed down into a window that shows you all the applicable data sources to Power BI data flows. In this case, what matters to me is Azure SQL database because my source is Azure SQL database. And as I clicked Azure SQL database, I would be led into a page where I should enter my connection details to connect to my Azure SQL database. So I would quickly paste my Azure SQL credentials right here so that we can access the database as required. So I have my server name set up, and now it's I would provide the database name as well, and my credentials. I'm going with an encrypted connection. And I would just click on next. I should be able to connect to the database right now. Let's see how it works out. Yes, it does. So I had connected to the database right now, and you can see the table list, the tables, functions, and the views that I have in my database in the right-hand side of the screen. So what I'll be paying attention to is the tables, and in the tables, I'll be focusing on the dim customer table or the dim customer dimension, since that is what I should consolidate. And that's about it. And I would just select the dim customer and I would click on the transform data button in the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Right, as I click the transform data button, I will be led into the Power Query view of the data flows where I can do all the where I can do all the data preparation related tasks as with the Power BI desktop Power Query view itself as well. So what I'll be doing here is I'll not be doing much, but the only thing I'll be doing is I'll be providing a decent user-friendly name for the dim customer. I would rename that to customer, and I would just click on save and close. Right now, my data flow will be created with the output table customer. So I had clicked on save and close. I had to click on that again, and yes, so I'm led into the page where I can see the data flow. So I should provide a data flow name here. I would provide the data flow name as dimensions, and I would click on save. Right, so I had created a dimension called customer right here. So it's all good. I had created the dimension, and the next thing I want to do is I want to do some transformations to this dimension. So do I need to like redo all the transformation step by step in Power Query? Not really, right? You had done that already in the internet sales data model. So all you need to do is just transfer this Power Query into the in the Power BI dataset into the Power BI data flow. How you do that is head down to the data model in your Power BI desktop and navigate to the respective dimension and just click on the ellipsis and click on edit query. After you click on edit query, you will be led into the Power Query view of Power BI desktop. So there what you want to do is go to navigate to home, query, and advanced editor. And you should be able to see all the Power Query used in the customer dimension or the customer entity. So what you need to do is just do a Control C or copy, you can say, and that's about it. And the next thing you want to do is uh, get into the data flow, and in the data flow, uh, navigate to the customer entity, or you can say the custom table, and click on the edit table right next to the next to the entity name. And you should be head right back into the Power Query view of Power BI data flows right now. So what you want to do is you had copied the Power Query logic from your Power BI dataset or your Power BI data model. So what you want to do is just paste it right into the Power BI data flows entity. How you do that is home, navigate to home, query, and then advanced editor. And I've just copy and paste the Power Query there, and you just click on OK. Right, that's about it. And once again, just click on, you can see that all the Power Query steps are reflecting in the right-hand side of your screen, as you can see. So we are all good to go. Just click on Save and Close, and the output table should be generated accordingly. There you go. The custom table is already and good to go. Custom table, entity, host, dimension, you can say anything that suits. And yeah, so we are all good there. And what we want to do next is refer this entity, centralized entity that's created in Power BI data flows to the Power BI data model. How we do that is head down into get data under home, and navigate yourself to Power BI data flows. And you should be led into a page where you should be able to see all the workspaces that have data flows in it. And the next thing what you want to do is navigate yourself to the respective workspace, which is Data Platform Summit for me. And inside the Data Platform Summit workspace, you can see a data flow called dimensions. And inside that, you should be able to see the output table called customer. So just click on that, the respective output table, and notice that there are no records in the output table as of yet, because I haven't done refresh to my data flow yet. So there is no data in the data flow, but the transformation logic and everything is all there. So the next thing I want to do is click on load right at the bottom of the screen. And you should be able to see the customer entity loaded as customer 2 because to your data model, because customer already exists. So what we'll do is just take off this existing customer, which is the Power Query which is created from the Power Query generated in the data model itself. So I will just click that. I will just delete that from model, delete from model option, and get that is deleted. And I would rename this quickly to customer. Right. So this is actually, so what I just demonstrated for you guys is uh, how you do it with one specific entity, which is the customer entity. So you should replicate the same for date, product, and whatever the dimensions you see in reseller sales as well, reseller. So you have to replicate the same thing and refer the output table from the data flow as I just showed you to the data model. So this is when things will start working and you have a modernized data model. And this is when you will start the actual transformation from an obsolete semantic model to a modernized modern day semantic model. So that's something you should work on. So, and don't misunderstand, there are multiple other tasks that you can do to modernize your semantic model as well. So what I just showed you is one key task that you need to modernize your semantic model. So due to the restriction of time and and everything, I had to stick with one key task. I think this, I hope this was really useful for you guys. So before I end my session, special thanks to Microsoft for supporting Data Platform Summit and the other community initiatives with Data Platform Summit. And also thank you very much for joining my session. Uh, Also, during the event, you can win prizes. So you can see that in the screen right now. So please do follow up on that as well. Also, in the right-hand side of the screen, you should be able to see a QR code. Please provide your session feedback with this QR code, and also you can follow me and connect with me on LinkedIn as per your preference. So thank you very much for having me. And thank you very much for everyone for attending this session. And thank you very much for the organizers for organizing such a great session. So have a great rest of the day. Thank you very much.